It's a Thursday, the 21st of December. And of course, as you know, we're all counting down to the end of the year. But of course, the markets across Africa still looks like they got a whole lot bull run before the year comes to an end next week. So let's get into the Wednesday's trading day. And if you look at across the screen, you'll see a very big jump across a few markets from Nigeria, where the stock market added about £500 billion into its market cap, crossing into a new territory of 73,000 on Wednesday. You've got the market up very strongly, 1.28% on the banking and non-banking sector, including big names such as Airtel Africa. You got a BRVM back around the 210 handle on its composite index, better by 1.15%. That's a big jump. Even this Nairobi stock market returned into positive territory by roughly 0.5%, knocking back that nice zero level reading for the index, and the GSE up slightly below 0.1%. The Egyptian market bucked the trend that started on last Sunday, by 0.95% on Wednesday. That's losing the 25,000, just a few notches off that reading on the EGX 30 index. The Zimbabwe stock market was also a little bit around a soft finishing line on Wednesday. So we've got a couple of this. And Ghana stock market, of course, also got a very big shoot on Wednesday. So you've got all that in play. But let's move on, because we've got a whole lot to cover within the East African region. Yesterday, a diplomatic face-off for the first time that the African Development Bank is withdrawing its international staff from a country, at least not in recent history. And that happened in Ethiopia. There are reports that security operatives assaulted officials of the African Development Bank Group and the AfDB Group, headquartered in Cote d'Ivoire, responded swiftly by recalling all its international staff that are based in Ethiopia. That's no good news from Prime Minister Abiy, who's been working to get the country's economic and financial markets reformed together, including financial funding and other technical support from the AfDB, and also working with the IMF and the World Bank as we speak. So that's no good news at all. And this has to be resolved as quickly as possible. Again, so there's a whole lot to deal with there at the diplomatic. We're sure right now that Prime Minister Abiy and the top level of the board of the AfDB will be talking together on diplomatic lines on how to resolve that. Ethiopian Airlines, however, are securing $450 million from Citibank to buy 5 new Boeing aircraft. That's raising the quality and the size of this iconic African airline operator. And Rwanda and Burundi, as well as Ethiopia, are the top AfDB's East Africa's visas openness ranking. And that's a new report that the AfDB released, by the way, and those countries are among the top. Kenya recently clears the air, as it were, on visa. So there's no visa getting into a fee for coming into Kenya. And President Ruto says he's expecting a lot more tourists coming into this East African country. The Bank of Tanzania, which is the central bank, has revoked the microfinance license of one of the country's MFBs for what they call exploitative product. And that's Mr. Kalakara's microfinance bank. You get hit if you misbehave on markets. That's what the regulator is there for, by the way. Let's get on to West Africa with the news from the African Energy Chamber, the leading advocacy group for the energy sector on the continent, supporting Nigeria's $2.1 billion floating liquefied natural gas, which is owned 72% by UTML offshore company, 20% of that being held by NNPC, Nigeria State Oil Corporation, and another 8% or thereabout for the Delta State government. That deal was signed on Tuesday. Yesterday, the African Energy Chamber, through NGIU, said this was a big deal for Nigeria as we get to the end of the year. The medium and small enterprises in Nigeria are looking to start receiving funding at about 9% interest rate in January next year. And that will be a combination of funds coming through the federal government of Nigeria and the Bank of Industry. The headline figure is about 75 billion naira. And 13 market institutions yesterday, including MTN, VFD Group, Culture's Capital, Vectiva Capital, Chapel Hill Denham, and a few others, pardon, were honored at the 2023 edition of the Nigerian Exchange Made of Africa Awards. Ghana's economy reportedly grew 2.0% in the third quarter ended September. Then you have Cameroon, Sonara, signing a deal about 20 billion CFA franc in debt with Swiss trader, energy trader, Mercuria, and that's to support the country's energy sustainability into the country. Let's get this into Southern Africa space and bring you up to speed briefly this morning very quickly. What are the top headlines within that space? Zambia, of course, yesterday announced that it has secured a fresh $187 million in funding through the International Monetary Fund as the IMF concludes the second ECF, that's the Extended Credit Facility review with Zambia. That's some good news on one hand. On the other hand, there is no deal yet. 3 years on since the DSS, the Debt Sustainability, the Debt Service Suspension Program was announced by the G20, which is midwife by the IMF. Zambia was one of the first countries on the line to get that debt relief, but is yet to secure that 3 years on. And that's one major headache for President Hichilema, who came into office just about 2 years ago. It's been 2 years of discussion and all of that, but we haven't seen that deal come through. But good news, as it were, for the administration in Lusaka. And Future Growth Asset Management says is looking at South Africa's central bank rate cut around mid-term 2024. Moody's has cut Telkom's national scale rating in South Africa from AA1ZA to AA2ZA. Telkom has been running around for a suitor from MTN to a few others. But again, this is how things are. The latest from Moody's Investor Services. And Mozambique's electricity company, EDM, is spending $20 million in infrastructure and business process management for the company. Those are your headlines from Southern Africa. Let me take you straight up to the Northern Corridor. And of course, President El-Sisi's got his second term in the back pocket. So he's got to move on now to put the economy on a more sustainable footing. So the country is looking to expand the IMF's loan program to $6 billion US. The initial figure was around $3 billion US. Egypt needs all the funding it can get to support the administrations of El-Sisi's infrastructure massive program and across other sectors as well. The World Bank is looking at 15% dip in Egypt's remittances to about $24.2 billion this year. That's about the figure that Nigeria has on an annual basis. But this year, the World Bank says that figure is likely to decline slightly. In the meantime, Egypt is looking at a bonds-denominated issuances in Gulf currencies in the new year 2024. We'll see how this goes. The whole idea by the central bank and the government in Egypt was to attract further investment inflows from the Gulf region into the Egyptian markets and the economy. And again, you know that Gulf and the Middle East are a very major player in the Egyptian market, as it were. And Tunisia finally says its gold balance, that's according to the Central Bank of Tunisia, on Wednesday says its gold balance was up about 107 million dinars in November. That's at the end of last month. And that's just reporting in there on those gold reserves. Those are your headlines this Thursday. We count down with you towards the end of 2023. This is your Frontier opening bell for this day. I am posting them over here. Have a great day, everyone, and see you soon.